What's up, bodyweight warriors? Welcome back to another video and another beginner full body flexibility routine. For this one, you're not really going to need any equipment. I would recommend, as always, having some yoga blocks or cushions to bolster positions. Other than that, some time and space. And let's jump into this routine. We're going to kick things off starting from head to toe. You don't need to be sat how I am currently. You can be standing, sat on a chair, sofa, whatever. Just have your torso free to move. We're just going to start initially with some lateral movement of the neck. So we're just going to start tilting from side to side. What I want you to think about is keeping both shoulders down level, kind of cutting off any movement happening here, and just allowing the head to move only. So we're just going to go back and forth from side to side. We're going to take, as we inhale or as we exhale, as we change breath, we're going to swap sides. So inhaling, move to one side, pause briefly, exhale, we're going to move to the other side. And we're just going to feel where that stretch is changing. You might notice that as you inhale, that stretch sort of emanates down the neck, maybe into the chest, into the arms. It's absolutely fine. I'm going to pause now just on the right hand side. So we've got the right hand under stretch. We're going to take our right hand and place it behind our back. So it's just resting on the back. Think about keeping the shoulder down and away. Just going to apply a little bit of pressure with the hand to ease into a stretch over the side of your right neck. Same thing here, we're just going to focus on breathing. I don't want to be like kind of tilting away. I want to try and keep things relatively neutral. I'm just placing as much pressure as feels good with that top hand. Just going to let that one go. We're going to repeat that same process. So take the left hand, tuck it behind, and we're going to place the right hand on the left hand side of the head. Just lean that head away, keep the shoulder down. And again, just some nice deep breathing, and try to think about kind of breathing into the area where you're feeling stretched. So for here, it's going to be the left hand side of the neck, maybe the left hand side of the chest as well. Okay, let's move from the neck into a little bit of lateral movement of the spine as well. So if you're sat how I am currently on the floor, on a chair or standing, we're just going to start moving a little bit from side to side. So same thing again, I want you to, as you inhale or exhale, as you change your breath, you're going to change the movement. So if I'm going to inhale, I'm just going to lean slightly, pull down on one side of the spine, for the other side of the spine lengthen, let the head bring the movement, move back to the other side. So again here, nice deep breaths. Start with a little bit less range of motion. And then as you have a few reps, feel like you can tilt a little bit more side to side. And if you are sat how I am currently, you've got one hand assisting, you can take this hand and you can raise it a little bit above the head if you want to make this a little bit more intense. Okay, last one on each side here. Perfect. You are going to want to come down to a seated position on the floor now. We're going to sit on a bum and we're going to have both legs out in front of us, feet in front, outside of shoulder width. We're going to support ourselves, hands behind us, chest facing forward. We're going to drop both legs to the left-hand side. One is internal, one is external. Pause for a second, reverse the motion, swivel back, and repeat 10 in total, so 5 per side. Gently moving back and forward, getting some movement into the hips, into the spine. And we're just going to think about keeping our sternum facing forward when we're doing this. So no rush here, just warming up, greasing the groove, getting things moving. So a couple more per side here. We're going to make things a little bit more demanding on the flexibility. Try to keep the lower back a bit more stationary. Try to sit up a little bit more upright. Try having a dog while you're stretching. I'm going to finish up now on the left-hand side. I'm going to come into a nice glute stretch. So I'm going to lie directly down on our backs. Bring the knees in. We're going to take a step out with the right-hand foot. You're going to cross the left foot over the right knee, and you're going to pull your left knee towards your right shoulder. So this one's going to give you a stretch going over the left-hand glute. And then just kind of play a little bit with using this right knee to push the foot and also then pulling with the knee down towards the ground. Again, we want to take some nice deep breaths while we're here, trying to breathe down into the abdomen. Just thinking about pulling that left knee towards your right shoulder. As you exhale, try to feel like you can go a little bit deeper into this stretch. All right, last few seconds on this one. Although this one does feel quite nice, gets nicely deep into the kind of the glute max, so if you want to hold it a little bit longer, pause the video, absolutely fine. Staying in the same sort of position, we're going to allow this right hand leg to go straight, keeping this left leg, we're going to twist onto our side, so the leg comes over the body, we're at about a 90-degree angle here, and we're just going to try and reach the hand over and reach it down towards the ground. If you can't quite do this with this knee not lifting, we're just going to support it in place, kind of the level that we can manage, and then the focus is going to be just trying to breathe into this area. So our left hand side, maybe it's the chest, maybe it's the lower back. Take a nice big inhale, and as we exhale, we're just going to try and gently move that knee closer down towards the ground. Nice deep inhale and exhale, and you should notice that that knee just wants to sink down as we're taking this breath. So we're going to do one more breath here. Should be feeling a stretch over the lower back, into the pec, probably into the glute a bit as well. Right, let's come back to that starting position. I'm going to take both hands, both legs back to the same position. We're going to cross that right leg over, hop the left leg out, and you're going to pull your right knee towards your left shoulder. Same thing here, we're looking for a stretch over this right hand glute. And then you can play a little bit about with using your left knee to push your right foot further away. And again, just trying to apply a bit of pressure and pulling your right knee towards your left shoulder. Nice deep breaths, breathing down into the abdomen. Miley's on a contradiction to the calm vibe of today's video. Okay, last few seconds. We're going to do the same stretch now, so we're going to drop that left leg towards straight. We're going to take that right leg, drop it over at 90 degrees. Again, getting it down towards the floor. If you can't get it down towards the floor, that's absolutely fine. Take our right hand, reach over kind of in our eye line, maybe a little bit ahead. Kind of play again. You can play with this to feel where you're going to feel a stretch in the chest. And we're going to take 4 nice deep breaths. So really deep inhale down to the belly. Feel like you're expanding the rib cage. And then as you exhale, try to feel like everything just softens into the floor. So that right shoulder drops down, the right knee drops down. Again, we're going to be feeling that stretch, lower back, into the chest, into the side of the body. Last deep breath here. Okay, we're going to come back to a kneeling position now. So, both hands in front. We're just going to walk the hands further forward, try to sit the hips backwards until we get a nice stretch going over the lats here. So this is a cat stretch. We're going to think about trying to pull the sternum down towards the ground. If you can do, try to keep the eyes kind of looking towards the hands. And again, breathing is really crucial for shoulder flexibility. If we can have the movement of the rib cage good, it's going to allow the arms to move better. So nice deep inhale, expand the rib cage. As we exhale, try to drop that sternum down. Another nice deep breath here. We're going to hold for another 15 seconds. And again, as you exhale, try to go a little bit deeper. Beautiful. We're going to sit up, stay in that kneeling position, and just now begin to move those legs further out. So we're going to go into a frog pose. So supported on our elbows, we're going to feel that we can move that knee using the hands. Just going to try and push it out a little bit further. Kind of rock forward, rock backwards. Same on the other side. Just get the hand in there, try to move it. And we'll take maybe sort of 10 seconds just to go as wide as we can on the knee. So we're going to be feeling a stretch kind of deep in the hips, so on the inside of the thigh, the adductors. And we can just rock back and forth nice and slowly, rocking forward. As we rock backwards, try to feel like the belly button is pulling down towards the ground. You're going to be arching your back, and that's going to massively increase the intensity of the stretch. We're going to do sort of 60 seconds in total here, so we're almost about halfway. And I want you to spend most of the time just trying to push the hips backwards and try to feel like the pelvis is tilting. So if you imagine that your pelvis is a bucket of water, you're going to try and spill water out the front. Nice, one last deep breath. Really good. Right, come forward now. We're going to walk the hands forward, we're going to drop the hips, and bring ourselves into a nice upward dog position. And we can just kind of rock a little bit back and forward. You're feeling a stretch now over the abs, over the hip flexors. And the hip flexors is where we're going to bring our attention to next. So we're going to move back into a kneeling position here. So I want ideally to have the toes pointed, the toes facing forward. And then we're just going to place the hands behind us. So we're taking a little bit of weight. So hopefully this is manageable. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to try and squeeze our glutes. And we're going to do the exact opposite to the frog pose. So whereas the frog pose, we're trying to anteriorly tilt, here we're going to try and posteriorly tilt. So when I think about tucking your bum under, squeezing the glutes, and pushing everything away from the floor. So push your hands behind you, lift the chest up, pull the shoulder blades back together, keep the glutes engaged, keep the hips pushing forwards. And then lastly, you can even think about trying to press the feet slightly into the ground. So you're even contracting the quads as well. So we're just sort of looking for about 50% effort, just trying to maintain this position, but just making sure that we can lift ourselves as high as possible. Keep going. Keep the breathing consistent throughout as well. 3, 2, 1. Nice, just drop the hips. We've been starting on the left-hand side, so we're going to start on the left-hand side here. Take that left leg back. Right leg we want to bring forward into a lunge position by our hands. And we're just spend 60 seconds here. We're going to think about dropping this left leg, this left hip, down towards the ground so we feel a bit of a stretch over that hip flexor. Now, if you feel a good stretch, we're going to hold this absolutely fine. If you want to increase the stretch, we're just going to come a bit more upright. So you can either grab yourself some supports, we can hold ourselves in between the hands, or we can bring ourselves onto our knee and pull ourselves further upright. What we don't want to be doing here is just kind of arching the back. We want to be thinking constantly about pushing this left hip down towards the ground. So find a point that you've got a decent stretch, and then I want you to think about just trying to breathe down into this sort of lower abdomen area. So I'm going to try and take a nice deep inhale and imagine that I'm breathing into that left hip. And then as I exhale, I'm going to try and think about using the glute of the back leg to push that left hip down towards the ground. Just another 5 seconds here. Excellent. We're going to take that right leg, place it backwards. Same thing, left leg comes forward, up by the hands. Hands are on the floor initially. If that feels like a good stretch when you're thinking about pulling this right hip down towards the ground, excellent. Stay here. If you want to increase it, you're just going to move a bit more upright. As I said, if you need to, bring yourself up onto that left knee. Think about pushing that hip down and forward. And just taking some nice deep breaths. Just keep going, final sort of 10 seconds here. Perfect, yes. Just walk ourselves back, and we're going to go into just a bent leg forward fold position. So I've got these blocks just in case. If you're kind of miles away from touching the floor, if you feel like you're hanging out, just grab yourself some supports. Starting with those bent legs, we're going to try and keep one bent, and we're going to straighten, starting with the right leg, straighten that leg. So we're going to increase now, stretch over the hamstring, into the glute, into the lower back. Pause for a few seconds. Then going to reverse that. So I'm going to bend the right leg, straighten the left leg. It takes 60 seconds, kind of just swapping back and forward. Take your time with this one. There's no rush. Don't skip out on straightening the leg and staying in the stretch. Just move back and forwards nicely. Feed them one leg straighten, and then with the sort of straightening, pushing back, with the other leg we're bending, we're pushing the knee forward. Just keep moving back and forward, pausing for 3-4 seconds in that stretch. I know it's tempting to try and avoid it. And what we're going to do as we come to the end of the 60 seconds is we're going to do both legs together. So we're going to go from that bent leg position, feel that the stomach is getting close to the thighs, and we're going to try and straighten the legs and think about reaching with the hands towards the ground. So if you can get these supports down a bit lower, that's absolutely great. Bend again. Straighten again if you can get the hands down to the floor. So work on just 5 reps, bending a little bit, straightening a bit, and getting deeper. So think about that stomach, keeping contact with the thighs as you bend down. And the last one, the 5th rep here, straighten those legs, reach the hands towards the ground. Perfect. So we're going to just walk the hands now in front. They come down into an upward dog position. So supported with the hands. Again, just move them side to side, kind of let everything relax a little bit. And then we're going to finish up with a final stretch, final sort of 20-30 seconds. We're just going to drop the hips backwards, sit the bum all the way back onto the heels, hands overhead in front into a child's pose, and just let gravity kind of pull you down towards the ground. And this is the last stretch of this routine. So maybe just have a think about all the different positions we went to. Was there ones that maybe you struggled with more than others? Did you struggle more with the upper body? Did you struggle more with the lower body? Did one side feel tighter than the other side? Hopefully that gives you some indication about where you might want to focus on in the future. I hope you enjoy this routine. I read through every single comment, so please let me know in the comment section down below what you thought and maybe what you'd like to see more of in the future. Other than that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It really does help support the channel. Right down below is the subscribe button as well. Join the channel, don't miss out on any more future videos. And otherwise, I'll catch you next one. Have a strong one.